Alright, so this is a video that I'm going to aim to explain what Worlds is, specifically and exactly what I'm doing with the platform. So there's a GitHub page and a white paper that I'll link under the video, but basically right now I just want to explain very high level what I'm trying to do. So the idea is for a very large, massive multiplayer online game, similar to the Oasis from Ready Player One, it becomes very hard to scale with just one organization and one company. And if you, I don't know, if you've read the novel or if you've watched the movie, at the core is a centralization issue. It's about the control of the Oasis. And the game, actually, if you look at it, you can tell there's a lot of fragmentation. So you can see there's characters that look like they, lots of things don't align properly. There's different planets that are completely different. And I think a game of that size is similar, being owned by one company is similar to saying that the internet could own one company. So basically the idea of Worlds is to be able to link together a bunch of smaller games. So as players would be able to move from one world to another and be able to bring their items, their experience and their wealth along with them, meaning things that have been generated by different worlds. And the idea is one world is created by one organization, and anyone can create them and essentially bolt their game into this massive universe, and items, experience, and a currency basically transcends all worlds. The issue with this is if you were to allow any world to create unlimited wealth, you would have a very serious economic issue because of obvious reasons. People would just be able to create unlimited wealth and the entire economy would be destroyed. So Worlds is effectively the economic backbone. That bolts all of these things together. So you have, say, world N, 1, and world. And the idea is players can move from world to world and their items go with them. But there has to be some sort of common line of truth between, as I said, these assets. So I'm basically developing a mechanism to be able to stake tokens against virtual assets. So what that means is Worlds basically consists of 3 things. 2 things. Well, 3 things. There's basically a blockchain layer. And right now we're using EOS because of the rapid finality and sorry, let me just get that centered again. Because of the rapid finality and 0.5 second block time and good developer tools, and it's just what we chose. And a while ago, I wasn't even planning to use a blockchain. I was planning to develop my own consensus mechanism, but this basically accelerated the entire development. There's the world smart contract, which is just a smart contract. This is maybe 80% finished world smart contract. This is a smart contract that lives on the EOS blockchain. We're on local test nets right now. And then there's the world's wallet, which I call the engine. World's engine. And this is a node. This is a node, like Electron Node.js application, and this communicates to the world smart contract, and it also communicates to your local file system. So this contains items, experience. Your keys, your private public keys and everything. So this is actually an application it's a GUI that you can actually run right now. And you can use this to communicate to World Smart Contract running on a local Node OS instance, which is basically your blockchain. And you can create items, stake wealth behind them, and transfer items and liquidate them back into the wealth. And that's the whole idea. So players' assets, players' entire identity, assets, and wealth live on something that's completely permissionless, something that nobody can tamper with. It's completely tamper-proof. And then when they transcend worlds, all these guys have to do is look at this blockchain. So, and there's more layers to this. So, in addition to the world's engine, there's one more piece. There's the actual game client. And this is an application that you would run on your PC, and this is developed by the people that make the worlds. And we're gonna implement a boilerplate application, and this communicates to this. So this basically says, I transfer items to some player because and here's the player. And all of this below here is client side. So this runs on your PC down. So the player is basically playing with the client. It just looks like a normal game. The client's communicating to the world's engine, which is dealing with assets. And this client changes. So we'll call this client N. So this client may be for world 0. It may be for world 1, world N. And as players move to different worlds, this client changes. This all stays the same. These items stay the same, but this client changes, and the game experience changes. Yeah. So the idea behind an item, I'll just start with items because it's easiest, is you want a player to have an item. You want to create an item for a player. Oh, I forgot something else. So this client, this communicates to a server. Let's call this server side. This is getting crowded. And this is also developed by the world designer. So the designer of the world can design whatever they want. All it has to do is open a UDP socket and communicate to the world's engine on the client side, and then somehow communicate to the client. Actually, here we go. Is that working? No, not really. So this is server side here. Then somehow communicate to the client, server N. And on the server side, they're also running one of these world's engines here, because they need to communicate. World's engine. Because this needs to communicate back to the blockchain as well, because worlds need to be able to create items, they need to transfer items, etc., etc. And I mean, that's the basic architecture of the entire thing. So this is done. This is the EOS implementation. This is 80% complete. This is like 60% complete. There's also a white paper on this, which is like 98% complete. This, I'm making a boilerplate application so that people can look at it and understand the implementation. But it can literally be anything. It can be an OpenGL. It can be a Python script. It can be a text-based game. It can be a 3D thing written in Unity. It doesn't matter. And in the future, we want to develop plugins for all of those things I was just talking about. So this is the basic architecture of how this thing works. So moving on to how is the economy actually managed? Well, items experience. So the wealth is managed through the token war, which will just be airdropped. I'm just giving them away. I'm not having an ICO or any of that crap. I'm giving away 40% of them to the EOS token holders, the original Genesis snapshot, or maybe the most recent snapshot. I haven't decided yet. 40% is going to be reserved for game developers, which will be given away. to anyone that's serious about developing a game, and 20% is keeping for me and my team. And this whole thing is open source. It's all on GitHub. There's no private repositories or anything like that. Yeah, so maybe let's talk about how the assets are actually managed. So currency is easy. I'm not even going to write anything down. That's the token. So the idea is players can use tokens to trade, buy items, do things. The tokens just exist on a free open market for trading or whatever. Items are a little bit more involved. Let's start with this, items. So they have a certain amount, I can't fully remember. They have an item, they have a name. They have class. There's a nuance, which I'll get into later. There's a genesis time. There's an owner. There's an origin world. And there's a stake value. So the name is obvious. That's just whatever you want to refer to the item as. It could be like a sword or a lightsaber, I don't know. The class is just a subclass, so you can say like weapon or whatever to kind of group them. The nuance is just a number so you don't get duplicate hashes, which I'll get into a second. The genesis time is the time in hours, since like the Unix time, but instead of seconds, it's in hours. But Unix time in hours, basically. The owner is the current owner of the item. The origin world is the pub key, the EOS name of the whoever created the item to begin with. And the stake value is the value in war, so it might be like 1.00 war or whatever. So this is just like a JSON file that exists. So when your world's engine creates items, it's just reading JSON files. And this whole thing gets hashed into a SHA-256. And that's kept on chain. And that's basically proof. So if you have this item package, which players need to keep track of these. I mean, the engine does it for you, but there's a folder with items, and if you lose your folder, you lose all your items basically. So back it up or something. So if you have this item, if you have this structured JSON text file and you are the owner, then you effectively own the item. And owners can transfer. So there's a transfer item function on the smart contract, and you can transfer ownership of this item to someone else. And the idea is the value of the item is, well, first and foremost, there's some tokens staked inside of it. So there's one war, whatever that means. Whatever the open market economy actually determines that to be. The origin may have value in the value of item if it's some like OG world that, I don't know, doesn't exist anymore or something. And maybe the item was created by some random dude that just created an item, and some worlds are like, we're not going to honor those as being canon because they weren't created by our neighbors or something like that. And then the genesis time may also hold value as well because it could just be OG or whatever. And experience is much the same. So I can't remember the actual structure, but it's like experience class, like sword fighting or something like this, blah, blah, blah. And currency is the same as well, and there's a couple other mechanics in the white paper, but I don't want to get into just because those are more involved. Maybe I'll make more videos later. But that's basically an overview of how the thing works. And so we're pretty close to actually releasing our boilerplate application. I just made a video of a demo where we are creating items through the world engine. Those are kept on the blockchain. That stuff's all happening. And I still don't know what I'm going to do for my boilerplate client yet. It's either going to be some Minecraft thing or a text game or who knows? I don't know yet. But yeah, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, you can just leave them in the comment section below, or if you find any bugs in my GitHub, you can open a pull request or something. That would be nice, or issue or whatever. thanks for watching. I hope this made sense, because it makes sense to me.